I really started doubting myself, doubting that if I can't even come up with a character, how can I write a story? How can I achieve this dream to direct and write a feature film, let alone a short film? I kind of felt very lost and lost all confidence and just thought maybe it's not for me. Maybe this dream isn't supposed to happen. Today's entry, I'm going to talk and open up a little bit about my creative process for the first time, and also how I overcame doubt through this process of leaning into it and surrendering it to it. So I've come to a point in my life where I have decided that I don't want to do commercial filmmaking anymore, and I want to transition into an artist, i.e. making personally authored films. And in doing that, I actually need to write some screenplays. And I have no narrative screenplay writing experience before. I've written a lot of documentary scripts, but that's a completely different beast. So I basically have been going through a process of learning and studying and figuring out how to write a narrative script. So I've kept a notebook where I've been collecting artifacts and fragments of any inspiration and anything that I've come across that can help me, inspire me to come up with a story. So this can include a line from a poem that I read that inspired me, or some diary entry, or some challenge that I've had to face in some moment in my life and gain some insight into it, or some observations that I've seen in people and in relationships, or just even a song that really sparks my mood. And then the other thing is I've been writing, okay, what would be the theme that I want to portray in this film? And then also the premise, how the story itself, how I'm going to express it, how what's the structure that I'm going to put it into in order to convey this message or theme that I want to portray in the film itself. So the other things is like visual ideas and moments, some even potential sequences that I've thought about that I would actually jot down. And that has been really, for me, is quite easy and quite straightforward. But then I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I have to think about character. And I realized when I tried to write a character, who they are, from a physical sense, their experiences, their backstory, all the way to how they are in relationships, how they kind of deal with challenges and what makes them happy and what do they do on a Tuesday evening and what do they eat, like things like that. I just had so much trouble in coming up and imagining characters, and to a point where I was like, starting to doubt. Like, I don't know if I have an imagination to imagine a character, let alone the world and the story that it lives in. So then I thought, okay, no, I'm going to, obviously do some research into it and study how other people, great writers, have developed their characters and what's their processes. And I was able to find some, very helpful, well, at first I thought would be helpful kind of structures of like all the prompts that you would need in order to build a character. So I went forward and I'm like, okay, I have this like kind of step-by-step guide, and I started kind of going through the process. And it wasn't helpful at all. Firstly, I wasn't able to, even with the prompts itself and the guidance and the structure, I wasn't able to come up with this character. I can't imagine them. All I could think about was imagining myself, which is not very imaginative at all. And importantly, I actually realized I wasn't enjoying the process at all. It kind of felt kind of boring and wasn't what I imagined writing to be, this enjoyable process. This idea to be able to dream and imagine and just like delve into the depths of like creating worlds and characters and story. So I knew that there was something wrong, that this is not the right approach. And then serendipitously, I was chatting to a friend and she just happened to say, "Hey, Nat, I want to read you a passage from a book I'm reading by this writer called Ursula Le Guin." And she read me this. I just want to share it with you guys before sharing the context behind how it helped me. So she wrote that deliberate conscious control in the sense of knowing and keeping the plan, the subject, the gate, and the direction of the work is invaluable in the planning stage before writing and in the revision stage after the first draft. During the actual composition, it seems to be best if conscious intellectual control is relaxed and is an insistence consciousness of the intention of the writing may interfere with the process of writing. The writer may get in the way of the story. There was just something about that really hit me and resonated with me. I realized that in a way I was trying too hard. What I interpret this passage to, what she's saying is to let go of the structure. Yes, it's important in the kind of planning stage of it and getting that, okay, this is the framework. But then when you're going in to write it, just let it all go and actually just dream. It's that part of the consciousness, it's got that information, but let it go. And it made me think, okay, I'm going to try this, and I'm just going to relax and then just throw the structure out and then just write what a character could be. And that day we went out to the farmers market in this Italian town, and I was just watching this dad with his kids, and I just began writing, letting go and just dreaming and imagining. And within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I was able to come up with this whole story of what I imagine him to be, or characterization of what he would be. I was able to imagine how he liked his coffee. The way that he approached how he taught his kid is also a reflection of how his father kind of treated him growing up. And this I imagine this like loneliness inside of him that he just kept within like walls and boundaries, and how he would hide from his wife by making different excuses just to escape life itself, but also a way for him not to confront his wife with something that is deeply kind of troubling him in the relationship, and many other kind of aspects of it. It was really interesting process. I was like, where did all this come from? And when that happened, for me, it was so liberating. It put a massive smile on my face. It actually like undid all the doubts in that sense, and it was so helpful to kind of gain that confidence back to say, hey, you can do this. And that was like really freeing and liberating, and it made me so happy to say, okay, I'm on my way, this is the right path. So I think the lesson here is really about the art of letting go, the art of surrendering to, when you come up with a process that is challenging for you. Sometimes, taking out of the logical mind and the structure and taking a pause and surrendering and leaning into it, the answers will come. It might be a sign, it might be an insight, it might be someone actually, or an opportunity coming up to you and guiding you and showing you the way and giving you the answers. And I think the creative process itself is really about dreaming. We need to give ourselves the space to dream. A lot of it is like already inside of us if we allow us to open up and delve into that space where imagination, creativity, and innovation comes, and inspiration comes within. So I'm leaving this entry at that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next entry.